Welcome to Royal Rebounds TV with Calvin and Barry. Just two crazy fans of the Sacramento Kings, and they sharing their opinion. So be sure that you subscribe. It's for the fans, by the fans. Whether you chilling on the couch or wildin' in the stand. For laid back conversations about the Kings, subscribe here. Staying down until we come up thinking this gon' be our year. We're here, drinking beer, talking about the Kings. Be sure you subscribe so you can hear that bell ring, yeah.
Beat LA, beat LA, beat LA. What's up, Kings fans? We're here, we're live. It's late, we're not tired. Kings win a 3-overtime thriller in Staples Center against the hated Lakers, 141-137. Welcome to another episode of the Royal Rebounds Podcast with Calvin and Barry. I hope all of you out there had a great Thanksgiving. Barry, how was your turkey day?
Oh, man, Turkey Day was wonderful, but not as good as tonight's basketball game. Kings set a season-high 141 points. What an incredible game.
That's right. The real feast was tonight for the Kings in LA. Man, this game was wild. We're breaking it down. Welcome, everyone, into the chat. It's already going big here. Everyone's excited. Big time win for the Kings tonight. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. If it's your first time here, welcome to Royal Rebounds TV. This is the Royal Rebounds Podcast. Be sure you drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you are a Kings fan and if you enjoy this content, and most importantly, if you love basketball, because Barry and I love basketball, but we extra loved it tonight. Barry, what are your first impressions on this great Kings win?
Oh, man, just so happy, man. I can't stop smiling. What an incredible game. 3 overtimes. Big game by De'Aaron Fox tonight. He played over 50 minutes. It looked like the old Lakers got tired as the game went on. The young Kings were ready to roll. I love what I saw out of Marvin Bagley tonight. I love what I saw out of Tyrese Haliburton. But he healed out a slow start to the night, but he ended up making some shots, some huge shots late in this game. But overall, De'Aaron Fox is the guy that took this game over.
I could not agree with you more. So does the baby daddy. He says Fox is back. He and we are all right. De'Aaron Fox is back, man. And this was the coming out party. Couldn't have come at a better time in a huge, huge game against the hated rival Lakers. 34 big points for De'Aaron Fox tonight. He shot very well from the field as well, especially late in the game. He was, let me get the stats here, 15 for 32 from the field, 2 of 7 from 3. But he hit big shot after big shot after big shot in overtime. And even the shots that he didn't make, that great drive there at the end in the second or third overtime against Anthony Davis, gets up a good shot at the rim, but the fact that he had penetrated over and over again and gotten these great shots off and was scoring, the defense all collapses on him, leaves Tristan Thompson wide open for an easy putback. Barry, you want to jump into the box score here real quick before we dive deeper into the game?
Yes, I would love to, but before I do that, I want to see everybody hit that cowbell in the comments, in the chat.
That's right. Hit it hella times.
Hit it hella times. So first off, I want to tell you the thing that stands out to me the most, and I want to know from you, Cal, when was the last time you saw a team take 120 shots in a night? That is truly incredible, man. Incredible.
Yeah. Both teams were laying bricks like crazy out there to start this game. The first quarter was straight ugly for both teams. It did not look good at all. They slowly got into more of a rhythm, and then that second half and beyond into the overtimes, it was fun to watch.
Definitely. So, unfortunately, the Kings were missing 2 big pieces tonight in Richaun Holmes and Harrison Barnes. I was not feeling the greatest before this game. I know I texted you before, and I was a little worried. I was a little worried about this game, but they
His exact
put it
words
together
were,
tonight.
"This might be a blowout, guys."
We see Alex Len starting at the center. This is his second game in a row. You had Harkless and Metu both starting tonight, which was interesting to see. Only 8 minutes for Mo Harkless. I want to talk about that a little bit later in the podcast, but I was surprised to see that from him. 25 big minutes for Metu. Only 3 points for him tonight. He only shot the ball 5 times. Alex Len, 12 big points. He played 37 minutes tonight before fouling out in the third overtime. But he did huge work at the center position. And I'll talk about it a little bit later, but I love the defense I saw from him. And surprisingly, Marvin Bagley on that pick and roll. De'Aaron Fox, 53 minutes tonight, 15 to 32 from the field, 34 points, 8 assists, 6 rebounds, a steal. Tyrese Haliburton, 47 minutes tonight, 19 points, 6 rebounds, 9 assists, 5 steals. Huge game for him. Buddy Hield coming off the bench, 40 minutes tonight. How many times do you see a guy play 40 minutes off the bench? That is outrageous.
Yes.
25 big points for him, 4 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals. A good game for Terrence Davis, 13 points off the bench, 13 big points for Tristan Thompson. I love what I saw out of him. But Marvin Bagley, 35 minutes tonight, some great defense from him, 13 points. And most importantly, 100% from the field goals tonight.
Yes, 100% from the field. He also shot 100% at the free throw line. 2 games in a row now. Marvin Bagley really looks like he's feeling more and more comfortable. He's shaking some of that rust off. And he probably just feels a little bit more vote of confidence from the coaching staff and from the team now that Luke Walton is gone, I would believe. So we'll get into breaking down the individual players' games here because there's a lot to talk about. I mean, everybody played a ton of minutes because you go 3 overtimes. The bench plays incredible, 71 points from the Kings bench tonight. It was nearly half the team's total points. But I want to talk about Alvin Gentry first and foremost here. I give this guy a ton of credit. He plays 11 guys in this game. You know, one of the things we heard from Luke Walton before the season started was, we've got 12 or 13 guys on this team that we feel like can play and we're comfortable with, but we're probably only going to play 8 or 9. We're not seeing that from Alvin Gentry right now. We talked a ton when Luke Walton was the coach beginning the season about rotations. Who's starting, who's not starting, who's playing, who's not playing. Alvin Gentry doesn't seem to be taking that same approach. He is using everybody that they've got. He's seeing who is playing well with other particular players, what lineups he can mix and match. He had 3 different starting lineups in this game. He started one lineup to start the game, a different one to start the second half, and a third one to start the first overtime. And he just continues to preach to all of them, all the guys on this team, be ready. You might not play tonight. You might not play tomorrow. Terrence Davis plays 29 minutes in this game. He hasn't played in 3 games. He's putting trust in all of the team, and they're responding in a big way.
Yeah, it was really, really incredible. I know sometime in the first quarter, I saw a 4-guard lineup out there tonight, and it's not the 4 guards you would think of with the 3-point guards and Buddy Hield. Terrence Davis was actually part of that 4-guard lineup, and that's pretty crazy considering the Lakers are one of, if not the biggest team in the NBA. He decided to switch it up and go small. I think Frank Vogel was looking for an answer for that lineup. But honestly, I have to tell you, the biggest difference that I've seen from Alvin Gentry is calling timeouts in the perfect time. You and I talked about these huge runs that other teams were going on during these games, and it was just deflating for the Kings. I know Luke Walton came up under a famous head coach by the name of Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson was widely known for not calling timeouts during runs. He wanted his players to figure it out and play through it. Unfortunately, that's something that a young team is just not that great at. So I think Alvin
Right.
Gentry did
Luke
an
Walton never
awesome.
had Kobe and Shaq and Jordan and Pippen on his teams to play through those tough stretches, right?
Exactly. So I saw Alvin Gentry taking some really, really important timeouts in this game to, I guess, stomp out a couple of these Laker runs. He didn't use up all his timeouts, though, too. So they still had timeouts late in the game, and they were able to use them as well. Awesome performance by the Kings, but Alvin Gentry was a huge difference maker in this game.
Yeah, that's a very good point, man. There were multiple 8-0 runs in this game for the Lakers, but even other parts of the game before it got to be an 8-0 run, he was calling timeouts, he was settling them down, and for a young team like you mentioned, that's a really important thing, especially to start this 2-game short road trip that they've got here. When you're in a hostile environment and stuff like that, it can easily get out of hand very, very quickly. And, it almost did there in the second half when the Lakers finally started hitting on their threes. Both teams couldn't hit the backside of a barn to start this game. But the second half, they finally got a little more comfortable, started making some shots, and particularly the Lakers. The reason the Kings didn't ever get up by a considerable margin in regulation was because of transition threes. The Lakers absolutely killed Sacramento in transition, whether it was Malik Monk or LeBron or Russell Westbrook even. Malik Monk scores 20 off the bench tonight. He's been struggling shooting. He did shoot really, really well from three last year, I believe over 40%. So, it was only a matter of time before he got more into a rhythm. But they were getting wide open looks. The Kings were running back on defense all the way into the paint. They were worried about LeBron and Westbrook pushing the ball into the paint, but they were just spreading it all around from three. Carmelo Anthony played well again for the Lakers, and that was the difference in the game for most of regulation.
Yeah, definitely. I'm a big fan. Sorry, I got to fix my camera here. I got a little makeshift setup. I'm visiting the parentals for Thanksgiving, so I am in a secret location. But yeah, huge game for Malik Monk. I think he single-handedly kept the Lakers in this game. I was a big Malik Monk fan when he was coming out of college. He went to Kentucky with De'Aaron Fox. The Kings had 2 draft picks that year. They took Fox, number 5, and then they had the 10th overall pick. I was thinking maybe they were going to take Monk and pair these guys together. They end up taking Zach Collins, trading that pick for a guy by the name of Harry Giles. We all love Harry, but he did not quite work out with the Kings. I thought Malik Monk was a huge, underrated pickup for this Lakers team, and he was shooting lights out in this game until late when he cooled down. But I think he had a huge impact for the Lakers.
He absolutely did, and he came in really at an important time for the Lakers when they were struggling. Anthony Davis, we know he's been battling the flu or flu-like symptoms. He really hasn't looked himself over the past couple of games, and he struggled shooting again today. I'm just thankful. The Kings should be very thankful that they didn't run pick and roll with him more often, because every time, whether it was LeBron or Westbrook, would run the 2-man pick and roll with Anthony Davis, it ended in a basket, a lot of times in an and one. He's just such a gifted player and such a difficult guy to defend in that situation, especially for a Sacramento team that's undersized and undermanned. So I think the Kings were very fortunate there that LeBron tried to maybe take over this game a little bit in overtime. But, man.
Yeah, he was missing a ton of threes late in this game. And it's funny, you look at the box score and you're like, wow, LeBron was 2 of 13 from three-point range. And we kept seeing him jack up these threes. And then I look at Buddy. Buddy was 3 of 13. So he didn't shoot that much better, but timing is so important. I want to tell you a little story here, Cal. I'm visiting, like I said, my family. This is the first Kings game that I've watched in person with my mom in a couple years due to the pandemic. And it was really funny, man. The game starts and she's like, "What are those jerseys? What does that say on the front of the jersey? Sacktown." She's like, I don't like those jerseys at all. And I'm like,
That's
what are you
right.
talking about?
Shout out.
You don't like Sacktown? And I was like, what would you prefer to put on there, Mento or what do you want, Sac? And she's like, it's not a town. She's like, you can't call it a town. It's the capital of the biggest state in the union. It needs to be Sacramento. And I'm like, okay, Mom. And then she goes off in some funny stories. She's like, do you remember, 2001, we went to one of the playoff games and we were sitting in one of the boxes. My boss got us tickets and they were giving you popcorn and you turn around and you're trying to sell popcorn to other people in the box. Kind of funny. I guess that shows how much of a hustler I was back in the day. But
that's right.
yeah,
Starting
just
young.
excited to be home, excited to be watching this game. And what an amazing game to watch tonight. Truly amazing.
It really, really was. All right, let's talk a little bit more about De'Aaron Fox. I want to hear from everybody in the chat right now. Who still wants to trade De'Aaron Fox? I mean, some people might. You can argue, oh, now he's actually playing well. His trade value is higher, all that stuff. But does anybody still want a Ben Simmons for De'Aaron Fox trade? Because I don't. I mean,
I only got one knock on De'Aaron Fox on this game, and it's not even really his fault. He only shot 2 free throws in this game. He made 2 free throws, 2 of 2.
Didn't attempt his first free throw until he had already played 50 minutes.
Yeah, and he was aggressive. He was getting to the line.
Yep.
De'Aaron Fox was doing everything I wanted in this game. I remember late in the game, I think it was either at the end of regulation or the end of first overtime. They kick it to De'Aaron Fox. He's at the top of the key. They leave him open, and he decides to drive to the basket. Instead of shooting the 3, he drives to the basket, takes it right at Anthony Davis, gets 2 points. Huge 2 points for the Kings.
Definitely. We talked about it, on previous shows. It was only a matter of time before he started to hit that mid-range shot more consistently. And once that happens, I mean, he's not shooting 40% from 3 yet, and that's probably not going to happen this season. But if he plays within himself like this, where he's able to just dominate the paint, and the one thing, I saw in the chat here earlier, somebody said, we're better without Holmes. I'm not so sure I agree with that statement, but one thing that was pointed out by Katie Christensen in the second overtime period tonight, De'Aaron Fox was actually hindered in this game because they were playing with Alex Len. Because Alex Len, every time they put him in the pick and roll, he was rolling to the basket with him, and he doesn't have that lob threat available. So if you don't have that, you draw an extra defender into the lane that De'Aaron's driving into with no opportunity to drop it off for a lob as if Richaun Holmes would be there. So the middle of the lane is more clogged. But despite all of that, he still managed to get to his spots. He hit clutch shot after clutch shot after clutch shot. The step back mid-range shot is finally falling for him. This has to be a huge confidence booster for him. And for the first time this season, I'll say, him and Tyrese, they've both played well this season. But they both played really well tonight overall, and they both were really effective offensively in the same game tonight. This is what it could look like. But the thing is, Tyrese has to be able to hit open threes, which he really hasn't done much of this so far this season. Last year, he shot very, very well from the outside. And having that added ability allows the lane to stay open for De'Aaron Fox all night long. They can still run the two-man game with Tyrese, and whether it's Alex Len or Tristan Thompson or Richaun Holmes, whoever is the big guy, that's the key, though, for me. Tyrese has to have that outside shot working.
Yeah, I agree. I think Tyrese did a wonderful job tonight. There was only one moment, I think it was late, maybe in the first overtime or second overtime, where he had the ball. Anthony Davis was guarding him on the three-point line, and he just took too much time, ended up kicking the ball over, and it was a shot clock violation. That was the only, bad mistake I saw him make. I saw him pass up a couple threes, but I think his shot selection tonight was great, and he shot decent as well. On the Alex Len, Richaun Holmes subject, I am a little bit worried about Rashawn Holmes. I know it's an eye injury he suffered on Monday night. They haven't really disclosed exactly what that is. But, watching what happened with Amari Stoudemire, he had some eye issues, ended up with a detached retina, missed a bunch of games, having to come back with goggles on. I don't know if we can expect that from Rashawn Holmes, but it is a little troubling thinking about it being an injury in your eye area. I know he already wears contacts. He came out in a game, I think it was last season, because he lost his contact on the court. So interesting situation there.
Didn't Rashawn get LASIK surgery a couple years ago?
You could be right. I'm not quite sure, but I think I saw him lose a contact last season. But
maybe he still wears contacts. I'm not sure.
Yeah, as far as Alex Len goes, I thought he played a wonderful game tonight, but he was on the three-point line some of this game. He hit one tonight, but it did give De'Aaron Fox a little bit more room to work inside to be aggressive. But honestly, the biggest change in De'Aaron Fox and in this game was he was simply making shots. When you're making these mid-range shots, guys have to respect you, and they go for the pump fake, they go for the fakes, and then you can get to the basket, whether there's a Rashawn Holmes there or not.
Yeah, absolutely. And to kind of, piggyback off of what we were talking about earlier, Tyrese, man, he played phenomenal tonight. Finishes with 19 points, 9 assists, 6 rebounds, 5 steals. 5 of 9 from 3, 7 of 15 from the floor, 47 minutes. He was huge for them on both ends of the floor tonight. I love his attitude, how he stays focused in pushing the ball up the floor after every made or missed basket. I mean, you see the ball go out of bounds on a turnover, it's deflected, it goes into the first row or something. He sprints from wherever he is to go grab the ball, get it in bounds, and push it up the floor quickly. I think him and Alvin Gentry are going to be a great pair together. And, if he continues to shoot like this while he's adding the assists, 9 or 10 assists a game, and he's been in the passing lanes like crazy, which is something that, he's done his whole life, really. I mean, in college, that was one of his best attributes. He's carried that over into the pros. This is huge for them if he can continue to play like that.
Yeah, I totally agree. 5 of 9 from three-point range. You can't expect that from him every night, but he took the right shots. He made a few shots, but his defense was huge in this game. He seemed to be always in the right spot at the right time. He was jumping passing lanes. I don't know how many steals I saw where I was like, who was that pass to? It looked like they passed it right to Tyrese Haliburton. And that just goes to show his instincts are right on. He knows where to be at all times. But I think the key to this game for him and for some of the other guards on this team was they didn't turn the ball over much. They only had 8 turnovers in after the fourth quarter. They only had 8 turnovers. That was huge for this team.
Definitely. And rebounds. For a while, for most of the first half and into the third quarter, rebounds were the only thing that was keeping Sacramento alive. They out-rebounded the bigger, bruising Laker team 56-51. But how about on the offensive glass? 16 offensive rebounds for Sacramento to just 9 for LA.
Yep.
That was
and guess who got a bunch of those? Marvin Bagley.
You know it. And Tristan Thompson as well.
Yep. I love what
Tristan
I saw
Thompson,
from all the bigs tonight. I love what I saw from every Kings player tonight, to be honest with you. Yeah. It was an amazing game. This is the best Kings game I've seen in a long time.
It was an incredibly entertaining game. We did see the good, the bad, and the buddy all in this one game. But he came up clutch for them at the end, man. That shot over LeBron to send it to 3 overtimes, that was a big-time shot.
Brian here says in the chat, do you think Alvin Gentry is better than Frank Vogel?
Oh, wow. I don't know, man. It's hard to tell. You know, everybody's really down on this Lakers team right now. These guys just haven't played a lot together. Everybody's been hurt. Everyone's been out of the lineup. You know, they've struggled shooting the ball. They're gonna be all right. I'm not hitting the panic button yet if I'm the Lakers. They got too much star power. You know, he's got an all-star roster. That is true.
And he's got a championship as well.
He also has a championship ring. They're both, in my mind, very solid coaches. You know, Alvin Gentry, I think, is kind of showing Sacramento what he's all about right now. This isn't new for him, though. He's done this every stop he's been to. He's taken over a team mid-season, and he's improved them. And in some cases, he's been the guy to get the long-term call, and we saw it in New Orleans with Anthony Davis. They ended up making a nice playoff run. So I certainly hope that the case is the same in Sacramento.
Yeah, and you know, you think about it, Alvin Gentry's been around. He's been a few different places. Like you said, he's coached Anthony Davis. Maybe that had something to do with tonight's performance. You know, anybody that coached against or coached a guy before and now he's coaching against them might have some inside information, things that you can do to help limit that guy, make him have less of an impact on this game. But Cal, can we talk about Mo Harkless here?
Yeah.
Strange game for Mo Harkless. He started tonight, 8 minutes, 2 points, 3 rebounds, and then we didn't really see him after that.
Well, I believe he was taken out of the game at halftime for an injury.
Okay.
I want to say it's a hip injury, something he's been dealing with for a while. You know, we've seen him limping the past couple of games. And if anybody knows exactly the answer to this, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that they announced he was out for the game at halftime.
Okay. I must have missed that. Yeah, it's interesting for him. You know, we talked about this Kings team being healthy, and it seems like the injuries are starting to pile up, but they're still playing great basketball, and they're winning games. I saw someone in the chat here says 2-0 without Richaun Holmes. I don't know if that has anything to do with Richaun or if it's more of just this Kings team is fired up. We talked about, you know, the Kings needed something to change. They needed a veteran coach, someone that was respectable. So, and it seems like Gentry is pushing all the right buttons right now.
Yeah, he really is. And again, it's a total team win for the second game in a row. You know, missing two of their biggest key players, starters. They play 11 guys. They again score over 120 points. I know it took them 3 overtimes to get there, but just really proud of the way that the team has rallied around their situation, you know, and that goes for everybody. Marvin Bagley's individual situation, his situation with the team, De'Aaron Fox struggling, Luke Walton fired. You know, it feels like the weight of the world is on this franchise right now. Everybody's saying trade everyone. And all these guys are doing is coming out ready to play, and they've gotten 2 big wins in a row.
And they're only 4 games back from 500 right now. Yeah. And this is a big win they picked up against the Lakers.
Very big. And in both of these games, Portland and the Laker game tonight, the Kings didn't necessarily play very well overall. I mean, they played well in spurts in both games, but I mean, free throws, man, have been a huge drop-off here. The Kings shoot 19 of 29 at the free throw line tonight, 65%. They leave a ton of free points up there. They don't shoot the Kings didn't shoot over 40% until late in the fourth quarter in this game. They shot under 40% for basically the entire regulation. And they were never out of this game.
Yeah, it seems like the defense has really stepped it up. I know they let the Lakers score a lot in that third quarter, but you know, it seems like they're playing really good team defense. I love what I saw tonight out of Bagley and Len in the pick and roll. You know, it was crazy, man. There was a possession LeBron had the ball late in overtime, and Marvin Bagley's on him, and he tries to post up Bagley. He can't get to his spot. He backs up. He pump fakes. Bagley does not fall for it, and the Kings get a stop there. That's huge. That's something I've never seen from Marvin Bagley before. I know Alex Len is known for his defense, but it seems like some of these bigs coming off the bench
Not on the perimeter, though.
Really have some great chemistry. I was totally impressed by them. And I have to admit, man, I was a little wrong about Marvin Bagley. I thought that he wasn't going to play anymore in a Kings jersey. I thought that he was out of it. And he comes back and plays huge in these last two games. So I want to give a little shout out to Marvin Bagley. And a shout out to all you Kings fans out there, everyone that's staying strong and sticking with the Kings here. Hit that like button if you're a Kings fan. Hit that subscribe button. You know, Calvin and I are Kings fans. We do this after every game. And I have to tell you, Cal, it is way easier to do a podcast after a triple overtime win than the Kings getting blown out.
You're 100% right. Any win. And I want to continue off what you were saying with Marvin Bagley here, because you and I have both been very critical, and we are definitely not the only ones who've been really critical of his defense. But I don't know what happened to him. Maybe it is Doug Christie working with him on a day-to-day basis, because we know what Doug Christie is all about. But, man, this guy is really working on defense. He's been, in the last two games, switched on to any of the three following guys: Damian Lillard, Anthony Davis, and LeBron James. And he's defended well against all of them in critical late-game moments.
Yep. Yeah, I see some people here in the chat saying that they think Luke lost the locker room when he wasn't playing Bagley. And I have to agree there. I think that you alienate the guy. And if you're another player, you're looking at how this situation is handled and how he's being treated, and you think, hey, this could happen to me. Maybe I don't want to play for this guy. Maybe I don't trust this guy. And when you don't trust your coach, it's all downhill from there.
Yep, I totally agree. What'd you think of Tristan Thompson's performance tonight? 20 minutes, 13 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 6 of 7 from the field, and 2 blocks.
I mean, that's all you can really ask from Tristan Thompson, right? 6 of 7 from the field is great. We need the bigs to be efficient in scoring. I saw him have a couple big defensive possessions on LeBron as well, his buddy. He made it tough on guys. There were a few easy baskets late in this game. I saw a couple Russell Westbrook dunks on blown defensive assignments by the Kings, and I was pretty bummed when I saw those. But for the most part, there wasn't a lot of easy buckets for this Lakers team, and it's reflected in their field goal percentage this game.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I love about Tristan Thompson is when the Kings are really struggling from outside, and this is something that, you know, we speak really highly of Richaun Holmes, but I don't necessarily see this out of Richaun. The Kings can actually play offensively through Tristan Thompson when they're struggling from the outside. I see them feed him the ball inside, and he doesn't always convert, but he gets to the free throw line. He puts, even when he misses, he's there for offensive rebounds and tip back opportunities. It's a huge thing for this team because, you know, in the first half, I thought they settled for a lot of bad threes. I mean, they took a ton of early threes. I think they shot like 20 three-point attempts in the first 15 minutes of this game or something like that. They started 5 of 20. But when he comes in the game, you can actually give him the ball on the low block and play through him a little bit. And when you're a young team on the road that's struggling to shoot from the outside, that is so, so important.
Yeah, and one thing that I really love about Tristan Thompson is you watch him play out there, you can't tell if the Kings are up 20 or down 20. He plays the same way every time.
Without a doubt.
He's always available. He's an Iron Man. And I just love what I've seen from him this season, and especially tonight.
I could not agree more with that.
And I do
What
have
do you
to
guys
say,
out?
Kristen, I'm pretty jealous. I flew in Wednesday late, so I wasn't able to go to the Kings Blazers game. And I'm here tonight, not in LA, so I couldn't go to the Kings Lakers game either. So you're very lucky. And you're an awesome Kings fan, and I'm glad you're supporting us and the team.
100%. We are. Barry and I haven't been to a live basketball game in 2 years, over 2 years now, or almost 2 years.
Almost
I
2
can't
years. And the
remember
last
exactly.
game was Kings Lakers in Staples.
That's right, in Staples Center in December 2019. It is rough, Kristen. It is rough. We definitely miss being there at the game, in the crowd, you know, feeling the energy. Man, could you imagine if this game was at Golden One Center tonight?
Oh, man. I don't know if the Kings would have won this game. Their record's not so great at Golden One. But
the
hey,
cowbells would have been ringing,
Calvin
that's
and
for sure.
Calvin and I are going to make a trip in. We're going to go to a game, and then we're going to do a live post-game podcast at the Coin Op on K Street. So let us
That's
know
right,
in the
one of
chat
our
if you guys
favorite
would be
bars.
interested in going to that, because I think it would be awesome.
Yeah, we would love to see anybody who's down there.
And shout out Eric at Coin Op. He's awesome. If you guys ever head down there, tell him Barry and Calvin sent you. He'll take care of you guys for sure.
That's right. So Angel 2000 here says MB3 over Metu. Well, how do you feel about that, Barry?
I mean, you heard me in the last podcast. I said with these injuries piling up, I might consider starting Marvin, even if I'm not playing him, you know, a ton of minutes. Just starting this guy is going to be a huge confidence booster. And to tell you the truth, I was really surprised I saw him in tonight late in the game in overtime. He totally deserved to be out there, but I was a little surprised just because of everything that's happened in the past. But I would consider starting Marvin Bagley at this point. Yes, I would.
Yeah, it's hard to argue against that. I mean, it's a very small sample size here. It's only been a couple of games, but you know, he really hasn't gotten the consistent run. So we talked about how it's been hard for him to get any type of rhythm. You know, we've seen him struggle on his outside shot with every shot, really, because he was never sure of when he was going to be on the court. Now he can at least count every night. It seems like, okay, I'm going to get maybe not 35 minutes a night, but I'm going to get, 18, 20, 22 minutes, something like that. I should be ready to, get in there and hit a couple shots. I love that he's been aggressive trying to get to the basket too. And the rebounding has been great from him, offensive and defensive boards. Shout out Ethan, LeBron James. We got to give the LeBron James call here. LeBron James did not answer the call in this game tonight.
LeBron had a pretty good game, but he didn't
He
shoot well from
did.
three, and he looked a little old in this game.
Yeah, they talked about that a couple times in the broadcast, not being able to or not wanting to go into the paint and take the hits night in and night out. You know, he saves that stuff maybe for the playoffs. I mean, when you can hit that turnaround fadeaway like he can, though, I understand why. But the Kings definitely caught a break here. I mean, they tried to throw Terrence Davis on him in the overtime, and he just worked him every single time. They cleared it out. LeBron backs it in there. Kings definitely dodged a bullet. But again, credit to Marvin Bagley, because that was the switch they made. They decided, okay, Terrence Davis, we can't do this anymore. They put Marvin on him, and he did a very, very great job on the guy that a lot of people say is the best player in the world.
Yeah, and another note on Marvin, and consistent and getting minutes. You practice harder when you know you're playing in the next game. You work harder,
Definitely.
You shoot harder. They all say you're supposed to be ready, and a lot of guys, professionals, like a guy like Tristan Thompson, you always want to be ready. But when you know that you're playing in the next game and you're matching up against guys, you're watching more film, you're hitting the weights harder, you are just more involved. You are.
Yeah, Angel 2000 took the words right out of my mouth. I was just going to say it's a good thing this game wasn't at Golden One Center because LeBron probably would have gotten some fans kicked out, would have taken the momentum out of the game, and, I don't know if the Kings would have finished it off.
Yeah, I hope the puke chair is okay tonight. I didn't see it. I don't know what's going on around the puke chair, but maybe they could have puked on LeBron or something. I don't know.
Very possible. Very possible.
Is that assault? Is that assault if you puke on somebody? I don't know.
I'm not so sure either. All right, so let's review here what the keys to this game were headed into it. After our last podcast, we talked about Kings got to turn them over. Lakers are almost dead last in the league in turnovers per game. It was a very sloppy game. In the second quarter, the Kings, I forget if it was second or third, but I think they got 5 turnovers to start the quarter. They were pushing the ball really well. The Kings end up with, or rather the Lakers, I should say, end up committing 19 turnovers in this game. Kings get 22 points off those turnovers, only 13 fast break points, but 19 turnovers is a lot. So I'd say the Kings did a good job there. The second one was make the smart play when driving. Late in the game, they did this time in and time out. A lot of times it was just De'Aaron Fox making a big shot, but they did a good job of, getting into the paint and being effective with the basketball, not making too many terrible plays, aside from Buddy Hield, who, I just have to say, anytime Buddy holds the ball longer than 3, 4, 5 seconds, takes more than 4, 5, 6 dribbles, it usually ends up in a bad situation for the Kings. So I would like to see that a little bit less. And then the last one was play fast and furious. Yep. The Kings shot terribly. It took 3 overtimes, but they still end up with 141 points, even though it took them 120 field goal attempts to get there. 60 more points in the paint. So again, the Kings win when they get 60 or more points in the paint.
Yeah, I was a little worried there towards the end of regulation when I saw Buddy driving to the basket. I'm like, no. And he puts up that 2, and he makes it.
Yep.
I'm worried, man. Every time I see him dribble the ball, and then I saw him try and take on LeBron James, and LeBron ends up fouling him. I think the Kings got very, very lucky on that play.
Yes,
don't get me wrong. Buddy Hield is a great shooter, but you need to put these guys in positions to do what they do well. And I'd rather have Buddy Hield shooting the ball than dribbling the ball.
Oh, you're 100% right. And just like Kristen, Angel 2000, I agree. I like your takes as well. All joking aside, you're 100% right. These guys take so much shit from fans in the stands all the time, and I'm glad that we're at a point now where we can actually do something about it, as a society and as players, because it's just flat out wrong. I mean, they shouldn't have to deal with that stuff. So if you are throwing that stuff out at a game, especially if you're sitting courtside or something, then you don't deserve to be there.
And, in all honesty, there was no racial slurs that I heard during that. I guess what they said that pissed off LeBron was, quote unquote, I hope Bronny dies in a car accident, which is totally not acceptable.
Which is also not okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. Man,
pretty wild.
Quick side story. Did you see that in Bronny's I don't know if it was most recent game, but they start trolling him with the Chinese flag and his dad's crying face on it. Yeah. Man, it's just people have a lot of time on their hands now.
You look at a guy like LeBron and you're like, man, this guy, everyone's been telling him he's going to be the greatest since he's, in high school and all this. Like, how could it get worse? And then you look at Bronny, and the microscope that's on this guy is truly incredible. He's lucky to have, I know his dad put him in this position, but he's lucky to have a guy, all Lakers BS aside, LeBron James is a good dude. And having a guy like that to help keep you level is a pretty important thing, especially a guy like Bronny James. But Cal, I want to ask you, I see you got a bottle of Crown Royal over there. How many likes do we need for you to take a shot of Crown?
I knew you were going to throw that out there, because you're not here to actually take the shot with me. So
Does
We're
that mean
at
you got to take
28
two
likes
shots,
right
or?
now. Oh, producer Vinny says he'll take one as well. Okay, so we got, I'd say we need, last time it was 40 likes, so let's say 45 likes this time.
45
Deal?
likes, and Vinny and Calvin are taking a shot. I'm going to hit that like button right now, so make sure you guys hit that as well. Cal, can we talk a little bit about Harrison Barnes? I know he didn't play tonight due to the injury, but, the Kings didn't really need him tonight.
Well, I don't know if they did. I mean, the game was never really in hand. They certainly could have used him. But luckily, they didn't need him to win this game. So, I'm a huge Harrison Barnes fan. The guy has gotten better and better. I think he's a veteran leader now. So I hope that he comes back soon, and I hope he comes back his aggressive old self, hitting from outside like we saw really early on in the season. That being said, you've got an interesting trade here that I want to take a look at because, we're still, as the Kings franchise is struggling to get through this season. I mean, they do have 2 wins in a row, okay? They're looking better, or at least they're getting wins. I don't know if they're necessarily playing that much better, but they got a little shot in the arm here from Alvin Gentry. I mean, I did see a comment here. Does it look like they're actually playing faster? And I think they are. I think maybe they could play a little bit faster, but I like what I'm seeing so far. So trades are still going to be a topic of conversation as we roll around to this December 15th deadline and after that, the trade deadline. There's a trade in here that you put involving the Indiana Pacers. Pacers receive Harrison Barnes. Kings receive TJ Warren and Jeremy Lamb. This is an interesting one to me. TJ Warren, I know he's hurt right now.
On me right now, but I read an article this week, I think it was by NBA Analyst, where they listed, I think, 3 different Harrison Barnes trades for the Kings. And then there's also an interesting 3-way trade there, including Ben Simmons, which we can talk about that a little bit later. But I know
I'm interested to hear what you think about this trade. TJ Warren is hurt right now. I think he's played in 4 games this year. He's coming off that amazing season where the bubble season. What did he have, like 53 or 55 points in the bubble that one night? TJ Warren's a little bit younger than Harrison Barnes. He's 28. Harrison Barnes 30. TJ Warren's starting to come into his own as a scorer in this league. Jeremy Lamb, another serviceable guy off the bench, can kind of get hot here and there. What do you think about this deal?
Can you read me the whole deal again?
Pretty simple. Pacers receive Harrison Barnes. Kings receive TJ Warren and Jeremy Lamb.
TJ Warren, Jeremy Lamb. As much as I like that deal, I don't think I want to ruin the chemistry in this team for something like that. I know TJ Warren makes a little bit less money than Harrison Barnes, but as we all saw with the Shumpert deal, if you pull a plug on a guy that maybe you feel like doesn't have a big impact on this team, and Harrison Barnes has a huge impact on this team. But
he sure does.
If you feel like you're just going to make a lateral move, I'm not for it. It's not worth risking chemistry issues. It really isn't.
Sorry, I just have to give a quick shout out to Angel 2000. We appreciate that 100%. We'll reach out to Crown Royal here, try to get an endorsement deal done. That would be fantastic. They should totally sponsor the show. Okay, we got another
trade here. Shout out to Patrick also.
Yes.
Glad to see Patrick in the chat.
We got another Harrison Barnes trade here. This one is in Minnesota. Timberwolves receive Harrison Barnes. Kings receive Taurean Prince and Josh Okogie. How you feeling about this?
I like Josh a lot. I want to hear your take on this one first.
I'm not so happy about this deal. I like Josh Okogie. He's a great defender. But to me, like you just said, Harrison Barnes has a huge, huge impact on this team, both in the box score and outside of the box score. To me, you're just getting back to pieces. I don't know what those pieces are for Sacramento. Taurean Prince, another pretty good defender, a guy who's streaky from three. I don't see either one of these guys being the long-term starter at the 3 spot for the Kings. I don't think this is enough back for Harrison Barnes.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I'm not really trading Harrison Barnes unless this team goes on a horrific losing streak and I decide either I'm blowing it up or I'm making a big splash for somebody like a Ben Simmons. We talked about wing depth on this Kings roster, and there's not a lot of wings on this team, especially now. You mentioned Mo Harkless is injured, so not a lot of wings available. They called up Lewis King. I know he's capable of playing the 3 position, but it'll be really interesting to see how this next game goes without Mo Harkless, potentially without Mo Harkless, and potentially without Harrison Barnes. I don't know if this Kings team can afford to give up a wing unless you are really upgrading in that position.
Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, one more Harrison Barnes deal here before we get into this big 3-team trade. This one is to the Dallas Mavericks. Mavericks receive Harrison Barnes. Kings receive Maxi Kleber, Dwight Powell, and Josh Green.
I think that's probably the one I would think about the most, but I'm still saying no to that deal. And on the topic of the Dallas Mavericks, I just have to say, we got a steal for Harrison Barnes. We traded Justin Jackson and a wheelchair Zach Randolph for Harrison Barnes. He ends up re-signing with this team. And, I was excited to see the beard when he was talking about, I'm going to grow it out till we reach 500. And then the pandemic happened, which his beard would have been crazy long if he kept that going. But just Harrison Barnes' impact on and off the court on this Kings team, and Sacramento as a whole is too much to give up for any of these horizontal moves.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I mean, this trade does make me think a little bit because you're actually getting a fair amount back here. And I think that some of these guys would fit this team pretty well. Maxi Kleber, we just are talking about Marvin Bagley being that stretch 4, playing really well now, hitting that corner 3. That Maxi Kleber, that's what that guy does, 100%. Dwight Powell, big time energy guy, very athletic despite the injury that he came off of. And Josh Green is a lot of potential there, very young guy, real big question mark there. But, I agree with you. Harrison Barnes has been one of my favorite players on this team now for the past couple of seasons. I don't think any of these deals really have me jumping for joy necessarily. So I would think about it, but I'm not so sure I would pull the trigger on any of these. All right, let's make it interesting. People
talking about Pascal Siakam here in the chat. I might be interested in giving up Harrison Barnes for a guy like Pascal Siakam. But I want to remind you all, it came out this week that Monty is not interested in making a big splash move for this Kings team. And nights like tonight, where they win big over a good team in the LA Lakers, I know a lot of people are going to say the Lakers aren't that good of a team, but the Lakers are a good team, and they have a lot of talent. They're better than their record says. But wins like this is going to keep Monty wanting to stick with this roster and see what he can get out of this current team before he jeopardizes trading and ruining chemistry and doing all these other things.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I do think you're right about that. We've heard what Monty said. They really want what they're doing here to work. They're not ready to blow this team up necessarily or to make any drastic moves. We did see that they were going to have a trade in place for Buddy Hield before the season started, but I think they're doubling down on what Alvin Gentry can do for this group right now, and I'd be surprised if they made any move, at least in the short term here. This last
trade,
could change
however, really fast. They could go.
Things can change really fast.
They could go 0-10 in the next 10 games, and then we're going to be singing a much different tune. But,
That's
you're
true.
8-12, you're 4 games behind 500. 2 big victories after switching over your head coach. There's a lot of things to like about this Kings team right now.
There is, and we know 0-10 is not possible because we got the gold jersey
Don't
streak
say
here.
that.
Gold jerseys in the
Don't
middle of the
say that.
table.
Oh yeah, I forgot
Okay.
about that gold jersey. We got the streak going right now, 2-0.
That's right. That's right. Okay, so this last trade here, this was where it gets interesting. 3-team deal. We're going to talk about he who shall not be named, Ben Simmons. Philadelphia 76ers receive Brandon Ingram and Garrett Temple. Sacramento Kings receive Ben Simmons. The Pelicans receive Buddy Hield, Marvin Bagley, Sacramento 2022 first-round pick, top 5 protected, and a Sacramento 2024 first-round pick, also top 5 protected. What do you think about this one?
Well, I've been reluctant to trade picks just considering everything that's happened in this franchise lately and the rules, considering trading, picks and not being able to trade consecutive picks. So this deal would strap the Kings through 2025. They wouldn't be able to trade a first-round pick until 2026 or 2025 during the draft. But I like this deal a lot for the Kings. I think Buddy's been huge. He is a streaky shooter. He's shooting well right now. I mean, I know he went 3 for 12 tonight, but he has been shooting better lately. But I think Ben Simmons could really add a lot to this roster. I like Ben Simmons a lot, but it's all about the price you pay, and I think this is pretty reasonable.
Yeah, so what I like about this deal is you don't have to give up De'Aaron Fox or Tyrese Haliburton, first of all, in order to get Ben Simmons. Buddy Hield and Marvin Bagley, 2 guys that we've talked about in trades, for a long time now. And I wouldn't, even though Marvin's playing much better lately, I wouldn't be too disappointed to see those guys leaving Sacramento if it brings back a potential all-star in Ben Simmons. Trading the picks, I'm okay with as well because, the idea of this trade is this is a team that's going to make the playoffs consecutive years. Therefore, you're not going to have a lottery pick anyway. I tell you what I don't like about this deal, and that's if I'm Philadelphia. I mean, I don't know what you're going to do with Brandon Ingram and Tobias Harris and all these other guys that shoot and need, the ball volume shooters. It doesn't seem like it's a good deal for them, but I like it for New Orleans and for Sacramento.
Yeah, and the emergence of Tyrese Maxey really makes the Sixers think twice about their asking price for Ben Simmons. Because if you're able to just add 1 or 2 guys to this team, they started out so hot. Now they're having some injury issues and they're starting to slump a little bit. But if you can just add 1 or 2 more good pieces to this team, like you could be in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah. I agree. Okay, I haven't looked. We're only at 31 likes. It doesn't look like Vinny and I are taking a shot, you guys. So we need to get to 45 likes again, and producer Vinny and I will take a shot at Crown Royal. Oh, also, I want to go back to Angel 2000. Happy upcoming birthday. He says, I shouldn't say he. I'm not sure, but your birthday is December 15th. If we have a show on December 15th, I will gladly take a shot of Crown Royal with you then.
Cal, I got an interesting question for you before we move on here.
Oh.
So one thing that I learned that's a little bit different about this season, and you probably saw it here tonight, is the announcers don't travel with the team anymore. So like Katie was there tonight.
Which is funny though, because Katie Christensen mentioned she had a early morning flight to Memphis.
You're getting to my point here. So yes, we didn't see Kyle Draper or Katie Christensen travel to LA. Yet Katie says, this is a late game and I have an early flight to Memphis tomorrow.
Yeah.
And we don't play the Grizzlies until Sunday. So first off, I don't know why she's going there tomorrow. But second of all, like, wouldn't it be easier to travel with the team to LA than it would be to go to Memphis? Like, I'm so confused in this whole situation.
Yeah, I'm not very sure what to make of the whole situation. My first initial thought was, oh, well, maybe they, travel with the team to Memphis. That way they can talk to the players and it gives them, talking points for the upcoming game. But I have no idea. Maybe they're not allowed in Staples Center or something, and Memphis has different rules. I really don't know what to say about that. All I know
Ethan
is
says,
Katie's
how
got an
about
early flight to
Harrison
Memphis.
Barnes for the Hornets announcers?
That's right. If anybody hasn't listened to the Charlotte Hornets local announcers, I assume everyone has because they're all over Instagram and stuff. They are absolute comedy. I mean, I think those guys should get a raise, not because I think they're good commentators, but because it's like, my roommate Ethan and I, who's also in the chat here, we say watching a Charlotte Hornets game is like going to a WWE match. Because you listen to the announcers and they're so fired up. It's fake. It sounds fake and over the top, but it's
hilarious.
It's a pretty good time.
I still love that announcer in Cleveland. I don't know his name, but he's been there forever. I remember watching the LeBron games, and he always goes, "LeBron James throwing the hammer down."
Yeah,
that guy's great, man. I like him a lot.
All right, should we talk about Memphis a little bit?
Let's move on to Memphis.
We're on to Memphis. So the Kings have an early Sunday game in Memphis against the Grizzlies. Grizzlies got some bad news today. Kings got a little bit of good news. Ja Morant exits with a knee sprain in their game against the Atlanta Hawks. And I love Ja Morant. He's a fantastic player. I wish him well, but I am really glad that we're not going to see him on Sunday, or at least we're not expected to see him on Sunday, because he is straight balling this season. 25 points a game, 7 assists, nearly 2 steals. He's been incredible for them.
He really has. But before we jump into that, I want to remind you all, we're so close, guys. 8 more likes, and Calvin's taking a shot at Crown Royal. Vinny's going to be
Not
involved
just me.
too. Vinny, we want to see your face. Show us your face. We want to see your face. But
Gotta love a good Chappelle Show reference.
Back towards the Grizzlies game. The Kings have not played well in these early Sunday games. They really haven't. So that is one thing to be concerned about. We also don't know what's happening with Richaun Holmes, potentially what's happening with Harrison Barnes. The last time the Kings scored 140 points in a game was against Charlotte, and they laid an egg the next night and did not play well at all. So I'm a little worried there, but not having Ja Morant is going to make this game so much easier for this Kings team. And I'm feeling pretty positive, Cal. I really am.
Yeah, I mean, the Grizzlies are a very well-rounded team. They're young. They get up and down. Man, they're a high-scoring team. They score a ton of points. They give up a ton of points. They're actually dead last in opponents scoring in the league. So this game could turn into another track meet here, which we've seen the Kings, have actually a little bit of success in those games. Kings have to shoot better than they did tonight, though, that's for sure. And it's, again, like you mentioned, an early Sunday game. Luckily, they're not on a back-to-back here after a triple overtime game. De'Aaron Fox playing 53 minutes, Tyrese Haliburton playing 47 minutes. These guys are young, so hopefully they can get some rest, not play too much poker on the plane tomorrow morning, and they'll be refreshed and ready to go here. But Memphis is 7th in the league in scoring. They are 3rd in the league in steals. So the Kings better take care of the ball in this game because it's going to be a fast up and down pace game. You know, you won't have John Morant barreling down at them, but that doesn't mean that Memphis is going to change the way they play. They got a lot of solid players. Jaren Jackson Jr. is a great young player. Brandon Clark, another really talented young player. They've got Steven Adams in the middle. So they're a good rebounding team as well. But that third in the league in steals is what scares me because we've seen the Kings get a little careless with the ball at times, and they can get on these big runs in the wrong direction where they're turning the ball over a lot. They cannot afford to do that against this team.
Yeah, who do you think is going to be starting at the point then? Tyus Jones?
Yeah, I mean, that's probably what I would expect here. I'm not so sure to be 100%. I don't think they have. Let me see here. Pull up their roster. Oh, I didn't even mention
Cal,
Dylan Brooks. He's a great player as well.
I want to know if you're the Kings, who you're starting in this game, because we could potentially be without Rashawn and Harrison Barnes again. We'll hear if they
and possibly
make the
Mo
trip.
Harkless too.
But potentially Mo Harkless is out. So who's going to be your starting five against this Grizzlies team? You need some size against Steven Adams. You really do.
Yeah, you do. Well, to answer your first question, Tyus Jones hasn't started any games so far this year. DeAnthony Melton has started 12 games. I know he's kind of a combo guard, more of a shooting or a scoring guard than a point guard, but they could throw him and Dylan Brooks out there together. I wouldn't be surprised with that. As far as the Kings go, you might see Fox, Haliburton, Metu, Bagley, Len. I feel like Marvin Bagley is earning more. Sorry?
Metu at the three, huh?
Well, that's what they did tonight. Or, I mean, I guess you could pull or pick straws for who's the 3 and the 4 between Metu and Harkless. But if all these guys are out, I think Marvin Bagley has definitely earned himself more minutes with the way he's played in the last couple of games. If you're going to be missing a huge array of forwards or centers, it wouldn't be surprising to me at all to see him get the call and get the start. Metu has started a few games this season, so, that seems to be a reliable option in terms of, that he has confidence in himself to go out there and start. Plus, he's a very versatile player. You can match him up on a really wide range of guys. I think they still are steadfast on Buddy Hield as our 6th man.
Mm-hmm.
I like him in that role. So if I were the Kings or if I were Alvin Gentry, I would still bring him off the bench and maybe start more of these versatile forwards.
Yeah, I really like that idea a lot. And like I said earlier, I think starting a guy like Marvin Bagley would be huge for this team, not in terms of one particular game, but in terms of a confidence booster for him and probably the whole team. I think it could do a lot for the team's confidence in Coach Alvin Gentry, that this guy is willing to play guys that are playing well. Marvin has shown that he's ready. I was really happy to see him on the bench in this game, congratulating guys. It didn't matter if he was in the game or he wasn't in the game. He was happy. He was congratulating the guys. And when he did have his chance, he played incredible in this game. So I would consider starting him for sure against the Memphis Grizzlies. Metu, I like him at the 3 position offensively. I'm not sure if he's quick enough, if he's got the foot speed to keep up with some of these small forwards. But it'd be an interesting thing. I think I'd probably go with your starting lineup and make adjustments from there. I really like what I've seen from Alex Len. Huge minutes from him tonight. I know he ended up fouling out in this game, but he has really played great. And the Kings are very, very lucky to have been able to re-sign this guy and bring him in on a team-friendly deal and get what they're getting out of him. But Cal, I think the guy that I really want to talk about, if you're done wrapping up the Grizzlies section here, we haven't mentioned him all night, Daveon Mitchell.
Yeah. Yeah, well, just to close our topic on the Grizzlies here, whoever the Kings end up starting out there, they're going to have a plan for defending Jaren Jackson Jr., which is why I like Metu. Because, he is a versatile defender. I still kind of trust him a little bit more, even though I've liked what I've seen out of Marvin Bagley. With no Ja Morant, they're going to be playing through Jaren Jackson Jr. for this whole game. So the Kings' defensive game plan has got to start around him. And then from there, It's going to be covering the three-point line with guys like Dylan Brooks. But, I'm pretty confident about that with the guards that the Kings have defensively, like De'Aaron Fox and Daveon Mitchell, and that will segue us into Daveon Mitchell. He had a rough one tonight. 5 points, 2 of 8 shooting, did hit his only 3 rebounds. I feel like this was kind of a really welcome to the league moment for him because the Lakers knew exactly how to attack him. Give the ball to Russell Westbrook, post him up. Daveon has guarded a really wide range of players in the league in the short amount of time that he's been in the league, and he's done very well against them. But he hasn't played a guy like Russell Westbrook yet. And he struggled for the first time. We've seen him struggle offensively a few times this season. Tonight, we saw him struggle defensively for the first time.
Yeah, and the stat that I know you didn't mention it because you're not a big fan of plus minus, but minus 20 tonight for him. He was one of 5 Kings players with a negative plus minus, and the only one with a plus minus worse than -6. He's a small guard. That's kind of what the knock's been on him this whole time. It could be a reason why he potentially fell in this draft. Russell Westbrook is a huge guard. He does a lot of things on the basketball court. It could have been an off night tonight for off night. But,
Yeah.
It's part of being a rookie in the NBA. You don't play great every single night. The Kings were lucky enough to get a victory, not having a lot out of Daveon Mitchell. But it just makes me think, man, if these 3 guards are all playing well, this Kings team is going to be really, really hard to beat. We haven't seen before tonight, we haven't seen De'Aaron Fox and Tyrese Haliburton really have consecutive good games or good games together. You put Daveon Mitchell into that mix. If all 3 of these guys get rolling, this Kings team is a pretty tough team to beat.
Yeah, 100%. And, we know, like Ethan says here in the chat, Daveon is a gamer. He will bounce back. He watches a ton of film. I'm sure he's doing that as we speak right now of Russell Westbrook. He just got put in positions tonight that he's really not used to. I mean, he's not had to guard people in the post very much in his career, probably, whether it's high school, college, or the NBA. He's used to being out there on the perimeter, following guys all around the perimeter. But Russell Westbrook is a very different guy. He can play outside. He can also post you up inside. And, Daveon, this is just another piece of the puzzle for him to put together. He'll learn from it, and he'll come back better from it. As far as the offense goes, he was shooting better the past couple of games. And, I expect him to just continue to be assertive, take the right shots. The one thing I will say about Daveon is he never tries to do too much. There are some possessions I see out there from him offensively where maybe he's trying too hard to break down his defender. He's trying too hard to get to the basket. But I never see him play too out of control or too, above himself or outside of within his capabilities. He's a very smart, very centered player. So I expect him to have a bounce back game against Memphis, especially because he's not going to have to guard Ja Morant for most of the game.
Yeah, very true. There was a couple matchups that I was really, really looking forward to in this game. The De'Aaron Fox, Russell Westbrook matchup. I think that is very, very intriguing. And then I was really excited to see Daveon play against Rondo. And unfortunately, we didn't see Rondo tonight in the game. I'm a big Rondo fan. I loved watching him with the Kings. I know he only played one season for us, but he broke a ton of records. He was a lot of fun to watch. He is such a cerebral player. So I was disappointed I didn't get to see that matchup tonight. I was excited to see how Daveon would approach a player like Rondo, because there's not a lot of guys like that in the league. But there's also not a lot of guys like Russell Westbrook, and he really showed him up tonight. So I think this is a welcome to the NBA moment for him, and I think he'll definitely learn from this and get better going forward.
Yeah, man, 100%, 100%. All right, guys, we're getting pretty close here to wrapping this thing up. I'm going to give it a little longer because we need 6 more likes for that shot of Crown Royal, but I'm not so sure. If you guys love this channel, like this video, subscribe to Royal Rebounds, join the Royal family with Barry and Calvin. I am Calvin. Sorry, guys, I don't host the show very often, so it's an unnatural thing for me. But yeah, we will take. There we go, 41 likes. Vinny, we might be taking a shot.
You got to go
here.
to royalrebounds.com.
Barry and I put out Fresh Kings content almost every day. We try to go. Oh man, Ethan, we're gonna get to that. We got a big game tomorrow. But Barry and I put out Fresh Kings content nearly every day. We have a weekly show. We took the week off for Thanksgiving this week, but we have a weekly show called the Royal Report, where we break down the entire Kings week in one show. It's sort of an ESPN style show. Barry and I love doing it. We debut it every Friday. Normally throughout the season, we'll be back next Friday, and we may even have a special guest next Friday. So stay tuned for that. Barry, you got anything else you want to add here?
Hold on, I'm making a YouTube account right now so I can add some likes on this video. Let's see here. Hold on, I'm making a YouTube account right now so I can add some.
All right, well, while you're doing that, I'm going to get into it with Ethan here. So, Ethan, for those of you guys who don't know him, which is pretty much everyone, he's an Ohio State fan. It's the only thing about him that I don't like. I'm a Michigan fan. Biggest game of the year tomorrow morning. We're in Hawaii, so it starts at 7 a.m. tomorrow. You better believe I'm going to be out of bed at 6:30 a.m., fired up, ready to go. Michigan, Ohio State, it is the game. Winner goes to the Big Ten Championship. And when I say winner, I'm talking about the Wolverines. Go blue. Ethan will be wearing a Michigan jersey for the game because he lost a bet earlier this year. Don't worry, I will take pictures. I'll post them on Instagram. Everybody will be able to see it. He's going to look great in the maize and blue.
Kyle, I know you're a Michigan fan only because our college didn't have a football team, right?
Well, not exactly. I've been a Michigan fan since pretty much since I was born. My entire family went to U of M. My mom grew up in Ann Arbor. My dad went to U of M. My grandfather went to U of M. My grandfather was Rudy Tomjanovich's lawyer, who, if anybody doesn't know who that is, he was most well-known as a head coach in the NBA. He coached the Houston Rockets with Yao Ming and Steve Francis, but he also played basketball at Michigan way back. He's, I believe, in the Hall of Fame at Michigan. I'm a diehard Michigan fan, have been forever. Doesn't matter if my college didn't have a football team or not. Went to my first game when I was 5, so now you guys know my whole backstory.
And we only need 2 more likes, guys. Hit that like button.
2 more
Vinny,
likes.
We want to see your face, buddy. Go
this video if Michigan is going to win tomorrow.
Calvin, you might as well start pouring the shots, dude. It's time. It is time. So, Kyle, can you give me a prediction while we're waiting? I want to hear a prediction on this Grizzlies game. I know it's an early game. The Kings have not played very well in early games, but as you mentioned, no Ja Morant. You want to put on your King Stradamus hat and give me a score prediction on this game?
Well, no Ja Morant is such a huge thing for the Kings. I mean, it's a really tough break for Memphis. Early Sunday game, I'm a little bit nervous because of this 3 overtime game and De'Aaron Fox playing and Tyrese Haliburton playing so many minutes. But I think the Kings are really starting to feel confident now after these 2 games. They just beat 2 playoff teams. They have momentum here. Alvin Gentry has kind of got these guys gelling a little bit. He seemed to have given a lot of confidence out to the whole roster, not just the key players on this team. I hope Harrison Barnes or Rashawn Holmes can return to the lineup, but I'm going to predict a Kings win here. They go on this short 2-game road trip and go undefeated before they come back home for another game against the Lakers. I'm going to say, I see a one, Ethan says 112, 108 Kings. I'm going to say the Kings score 117 points in this game. Grizzlies 110. Kings get the win by 7.
I really like the sound of that. And, Afghan and Kristen, there's always going to be games, during the season that you should have won, that you end up not being able to. And sometimes they come back to bite you. If you're a Kings fan, it's more than sometimes. It's all the time that they come back to bite you late in the season. But, you can't hang your head on those. You got to look forward. You got to keep moving on. You can't tell me the Lakers aren't bummed they lost this game.
Oh, yeah. Anytime you lose in 3 overtimes, it's a rough one.
Yeah, I can't believe we saw LeBron play that many minutes tonight, dude. That's probably the most minutes he's played in a non-playoff game in probably the last 10 years.
Yeah. And we all saw LeBron just served his first suspension a couple of games ago, so feels like he's been kind of on a mission here to prove, that his dominance and assert himself. Oh, man. I love this prediction. Trade Fox, get Ben Simmons says Kings 159, Memphis 158 in 4 overtimes. Barry, if that happens.
I don't know about that,
man.
That's I love the overtime games. I love Kings victory. Tonight was a good win, but it was stressful, man. I don't know if I can handle back-to-back games with multiple overtimes. You can give me a heart attack, man. You really are.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. We'd have to, dive deeper, get SportsCenter's Elias to do some research for us, but I'm not sure if there's ever been a team that's played back-to-back 3 overtime games. It probably has happened. There's been a ton of games over the years, but that seems just a shade unlikely to me.
Well, I guess we're not going to get here to 45 likes, Calvin. Can you do like half a shot or something?
I tried to stall,
what's going on here?
But it's just not happening, I guess. You know what?
Maybe we need to see Vinny.
Triple overtime. We're only 2 likes away. I think we're going to do it. We're going to pull the trigger, guys. Here we go.
Let's do it. Yes, that's what I want to see.
Uh-oh.
So I'll be back Sunday, guys. For everybody that's wondering, I'll be back Sunday.
This is producer Vinny, by the way, you guys. He's the reason we look good all the time.
I'll be available for
Shout
the
out
game,
to
and
Vinny.
Calvin and I will be going live Sunday after the Grizzlies game.
Shout out to Tambir. I didn't see him in the chat today, but shout out Tambir as always. There you are, sir. Barry, you don't have any alcohol at your mom's house that you can steal to take a shot with us?
I don't think so. And I'm not at my mom's house. I'm at a secret location, remember?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Even though you said that you were watching the game with your mom earlier.
Oh, yeah, at the secret location.
At the secret location. Yeah, sorry. Okay. Go Kings. Go Kings.
Trade Fox, we did a pregame show once. It was okay. It really depends on what our schedule is like. We don't work for the Kings. We have real jobs. I would love this to be my real job, but unfortunately it's not. We still do this just for fun. So it depends on what our schedules look like. We try and go live either before or after every single game. Lately, it's been after every game, but we'll try and do a couple pregame shows. I also want to remind you all that we are going to be doing an NBA Kings rebuild on NBA 2K21 on PlayStation 5. Kyle, when are we doing that rebuild?
Man, that's a good question. I guess you got to get back to Maui first.
Maybe Tuesday, huh?
Yeah. We'll try to plan it early in the week. Kristen, I'm right there with you. Boo, real jobs. Would love for this to be my real job. But yeah, we are going to do a 2K rebuild. We'll try to do it early in the week. Hopefully Tuesday. We'll definitely give you guys a heads up before we do one. We're not on Twitch, man. I really don't know much about Twitch, Barry. Do you?
Yeah, it's more of a streaming platform for games. And actually, I forgot we're playing the Lakers on Tuesday, so maybe it'll have to be Monday. We'll let you guys know on Sunday. So make sure you guys tune in on Sunday after the Grizzlies game, and we'll let you know when exactly it'll be. But Monday's looking pretty good for me.
Monday is looking pretty good. All right. We're going to wrap things up here. Barry, you have any final words?
I guess I'll end it just like I ended last show. Fuck the Lakers.
That's right. Fuck the Lakers. We're going to ring the cowbell one more time. Go Kings. Sacktown proud. Even though I don't like Sacktown on the jersey. All right. Have a good night, guys. Thanks for watching. Go Kings.
All right, guys. Go Kings.